All right. I am Linda Deer. And who do you think this guy is?
For certain, I'm the man behind the curtain.
Now, Ray, are you coming up with new little slogans each time?
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
he good or what? Okay, we always have fun when Ray's in the house.
The master of all buttons and switches.
And I always want you guys to know that we're so happy to be here with you guys on Tuesday nights at 6 p.m. Pacific time. And here we go. Welcome to episode number 271 of Linda's Weekly Guided Insights, a weekly gift of guidance from my spirit guides on navigating the uncertain world that you are now living in. Published every Tuesday since 2014. Tonight, the guides will be talking about, is time on my side? Get these pages split apart. The takeaway from this week's episode is time is the only thing you have. You will learn to value your time more than anything else. Budget your time as if it were your money. Time is not a commodity. It's a precious gift to you, a little that's given to you a little at a time. People imagine long-term plans and goals, but neglect doing something in the moment to realize them. Even stopping for a moment to visualize or review how realistic the future goal would be is a step moving in the right direction to achieving it. This is when we, your spirit guides and angels, can reach you, adding clarity to your present moment contemplations. You must learn to control your time moment to moment and not let time or deadlines control you or your time. All right, now hold on. Okay, so there's a little bit more here. I only read, here's the insight. If you're not getting these insights, you want to sign up for them because we only cover excerpts from the insights, okay? But there's real good stuff in here. In fact, what do you have, Ray?
Well, we have a couple comments, really good ones, from Judy and Viola. And Judy said, uh, This insight really spoke to me today. Such an important reminder that I can still take control of my life by focusing in the present moment, even when the world around us feels crazy.
Now, there you go. That's the uncertain world we find ourselves in now. This is real important information. Go ahead, Ray.
Okay. And you responded to Judy. In fact, because things are so crazy in the world, it's now easier to see it for what it really is. No more tolerating what has been lying beneath the surface, or who's been lying beneath the surface,
That too.
building up to where we are now.
Yeah.
This actually makes it easier to be present as you decompress from the years of distractions that stole all your time.
Right.
So, the only way that time is on your side is to use the time you have wisely because it's your time, your asset, to hopefully achieve what you came here to do. Hence, you have your life and time back. The wake up call.
That's what this 2020 was, a big wake up call for everybody in this regard.
Right.
Everybody knows it. Everybody's getting it in some way. Okay, if they're not totally getting it, they're on the way to getting it. They know that they've been missing their life. Not they haven't been getting their life because they chased something or they moved faster. That's not using your time the way it works. Okay, go ahead,
Yeah,
Ray.
part of your answer that struck me is that you wasted all your time on all these distractions that filled it up.
Yeah,
You actually look for these distractions to fill up your time.
it became an addiction, and it became an addiction is what happened. And once you go wong and you just keep going faster and faster, you can't see it. For sure you can't see it when you're in that. Okay.
You can't see it when you're in it because everybody else is in it
And everybody's
with you.
yeah, everyone's it's like you're following the leader and you think, well, it must be okay because everyone's doing it. Now you know that that's not true because everyone's not doing it anymore.
Everybody's sitting at home, wondering,
Well, they're thinking,
remembering about
they're
when they used to do
realizing,
that.
they're realizing what's been going on. They're waking up. There it is. Go ahead, Ray.
Okay. Second comment from Viola over in the Netherlands. Viola says, I love this insight. What came to mind is the question why we humans invented clocks.
This is a great comment.
Yeah,
I
it wasn't
love.
always clocks, it was sundials, but we always had some kind of timekeeping device.
Yeah,
Would we still need them when we live only in the present moment? Well, time would always be the same. What time is it? It's now.
that's what
Present moment.
that's what kitty cats say.
Right, that's how
What-
they live.
What do they do when you go? What do you want?
When do you want it? Meow. Now. That's close enough. Will we still need them to live in the present moment? I guess we only need clocks and calendars for past and future items that we want to memorize or to plan.
Wow.
There you go. Yeah, you want to plan your vacation. It's from here to here.
Viola got this one. Wow.
Yeah, she did. And where does the saying, time is money, come from? And being in a rush gives me the feeling that one tries to catch up in time to be in a future moment. But when I hold it to the light of this weekly insight, I guess it does not make much sense to rush. Or am I saying something funny now? I am curious to see what the guides and you can say about some of these questions.
And we're going to, after Ray's finish reading my comment to Viola, we're going to have the guides speak to her. Okay. Go ahead, Ray.
Linda responded to Viola by saying, it is true that you cannot retrieve your time. Only use the time that you have to the highest and best use while you are in that present moment. It's when we don't appreciate the present moment that we use time poorly, wasting time, making us feel like we are missing something and always trying to catch up. We will have the guides expand on this. So she's sleeping now, so she can watch the video tomorrow.
Yeah. So, you guys, if I was to sum this up, people that don't use their time well lack gratitude for what they do have. If you just keep that one thing in mind about gratitude, all of a sudden, it's like a recalibration, just and boom, you're in the present moment. It's all there is. All right.
Yeah,
So
it's a lot of times their present moments are all caught up in worrying about the future.
or trying to game the time, game it.
Yeah.
Okay, trying to bet. You can get the money back that you lost. That's like getting time back for that person, where they focused on something other than the present moment and lacked gratitude. Lack. Okay, you guys don't lack anything. All right, so
Okay,
we're
so
going to let the guides comment on Viola's
catching up.
about this whole comment she made. Awesome comment.
Viola, it wasn't too long ago when everyone lived in an analog world. Clocks were analog devices. You could actually see how much time you have left in order to get somewhere. When you looked at your watch, the big hand only had so far to go until you should be at your destination. You could visualize it. Digital watches and clocks eliminated this spatial
Hmm.
concept of time. It wasn't too long ago when people read the Sunday newspaper to catch up on everything they missed throughout the week. Now the news is thrusted in front of you by your computer, your tablet, your smartphone, your wristwatch, and if all those fail, someone will call you and tell you what happened. The analog portion of life is non existent. Let's look at the term catch up. You do this by doing more. Let's say you are in a race, a bike race, and you want to pass the person in front of you. You want to catch up to them first. You may be able to do that, but when people try to catch up, many times they become winded and out of breath and unable to continue. So there's got to be a better plan than to exhausting yourself in order to catch up. How about catching up by doing less and not more? An example would be catching up on your sleep. That's easy. Just lay down, close your eyes, and go to sleep and do nothing. That's a different way of catching up. How about catching up with a, a friend you haven't seen in a long time in just a short conversation, maybe less than 30 minutes? You can catch up on everything the other person has done in the last 10 years. That's doing a lot in a short period of time. So now you've seen that you can do a lot and catch up, do nothing and catch up, and do a little and catch up a lot. Some people are caught up in themselves and can't get anything done. The opposite of catching up and getting things done is to avoid things. If you avoid situations and confrontations and work and obligations, you will not have to worry about catching up. We see that you may not ever be able to catch up on anything unless you have absolutely nothing to do.
This thing with time is really interesting. We complicate it by chasing everything.
By trying to control it like the clock. You know, I mean, the guides don't really have a concept of time like we do.
Right. And that's why many times guidance, when it comes through, it will come through like a dream. It'll come through where the beginning, it's like a movie you're watching where they keep going back to an earlier time.
Flashbacks.
Yeah, those flashbacks, and boom, you're back where you are on the timeline right here in the present time. And then there's another flashback and another flash forward and another flash, this and that. All right.
Yeah, flash forward, flashback, flash to the current time. I mean, we're watching one of those like that now.
Yeah.
It's kind of irritating because you don't know, well, how did they get there? You know.
Yeah.
I mean, you even asked me, was that a flashback?
It's crazy trying to keep up with it all.
Imagine if you wrote a book like that.
Oh,
Going back and forth. See, what you wrote a memoir. You wrote your own true life story, which was linear.
well, Ray, actually, this is interesting. Ray's talking about Guided. Okay. That's my flagship book. And chapter 1 really summarizes Guided, where it's going, what's coming down the pike, what's on the horizon. Okay. And it threw me as a baby. And I mean, it happened from the beginning of my life, from the first memory I had, from the first feelings of what's the word for this? Of what my job was in this lifetime.
Right.
That's what it was. It was shocking to me. A dream that wouldn't stop, a dream that went on until I was 35 years old.
Every night.
Yeah, it never changed. I mean, so it did actually, the way I wrote Guided, it needed to be written, is to throw that out there as the overall point to the rest of the chapters throughout Guided, and the undercurrent of what was going on throughout my life. All right. So it will time or something in perfect sequence. There's no perfect sequence as the guides speak with you, because one thing they don't do is shout, but they will. If you're getting something that's repetitive, it came through last week, it came through, a month from now, it came through, it's been coming through all along. That's the kind of thing where there is no time. But if you don't pay attention, you're going to run out of time in order to perform on what they're showing you, what you came here to achieve. Okay. So your guides remember what you forgot when you were born because they didn't get the amnesia. You did. So this language, it's a language that doesn't, that ignores time. Because where we are before we got here, where we go when we're released from this world, there's no time. Okay, just like there's no words water down the truth, and all there is telepathy. So it's cleaner, it's clearer if you learn the language of your guides, of the dreams, of the insights, of that aha moment, that gut feeling, that feeling here. That's language coming from a place that's absolutely clear. Okay. So this thing about time, like Ray was saying about the guides, they don't re- relate to time. But if you do ask your guide something and it's a time thing, if you ask them, is this going to happen? What's going on?
Well, I just think that's funny.
Is this going to happen uh, by winter or by Christmas? Instead of saying by, December or by November, or is this going to happen in 3 months from now? How soon is this going to happen? If you use seasons and that type of thing to ask about some kind of time, line you have in your life, another job, when should you get married? I mean, stuff like that. If you use seasons, the guides understand that much better than a specific date. They'll miss it on a specific date, but they don't miss it when it relates to how to say that, when it relates to seasonal things, or something that goes on the planet all the time that's predictable. Okay, stuff like that. So you guys just need to learn. You need to learn this new language. It's not new, it's the old language. The one we came into is a temporary language, just like this is a temporary assignment, this life. All right. So time, we could talk forever on this concept of time. Go ahead, Ray.
Well, as usual, I've done some research.
I know he
This whole
does.
thing about time
Yeah.
is fascinating because people say, "Well, I didn't have enough time. Why didn't you get it done?" I didn't have enough time. But
Bad planners.
well,
Yeah, it is.
yeah,
It
but
absolutely is. And if you don't know why you keep time eludes you, and you keep missing your opportunities, I have to bring this out. Okay. Well, it's right here. This is the companion journal to Guided. After I wrote Guided, I had slews of people coming to me wanting to know how this works. All right. So I wrote the journal that when you follow this journal writing 15 minutes a day, exactly what I did to survive an abusive childhood, that cleared everything up. I understood it. I understood my guides and their language better. I understood myself better. And I understood the outer world. I saw it for what it was. All right. So, this thing about time, it's just about not using your time right, using it well, letting things in the outer world influence you so much that it scares you. You wind up living a life of fear. All right. And you miss your life. You spent all your time worried about something.
worried about time.
Well, worried about you. Anything you do, you're burning through your time. Okay. You are. So you've got to be mindful about this precious one, this gift that's equal for even Elon Musk. He doesn't have more time than you. Nobody can game time.
That's right.
Okay.
So that put me on a track of finding out how much time do you actually have when you come here?
Yeah.
Because people have no concept. They feel they can't catch up, like Viola would never catch up.
You're right.
So I started looking at it. And I went to the base of all knowledge, Wikipedia, all right? And there is a list of, oh, first of all, let's talk about how much time do you actually have? How many minutes are in a day? 1,440. 1,440 minutes. In a week, 10,080. In a year, 524,160. And in a lifetime, 42,456,960 minutes for women who live an average of 81 years, and 40,360,320 minutes for men who live an average of 77 years. That's current babies born in 2020 expectations. Okay? So there is a finite amount of time based upon statistics that you have to spend. Now, if you realize that you only have 1,440 minutes in a day, then you may look at that as currency to spend, and maybe you'll spend it more wisely. I mean, do you spend half of that 1,440 minutes a day daydreaming about something, or thinking about something in the future, or regretting something you did in the past?
Worry. What a waste of time.
Yeah, what do they say about worry? Worry robs tomorrow of its power.
Well, what the guide said in one of our sessions, Ray, the guide said that worrying is a form of personal abuse.
Ooh, that's good.
That's radical. Okay. That comes from the guides. Worry does you no good at all. It completely steals your life.
Yeah, and so well, what was interesting about Wikipedia had a chart of all the countries, about 180 some countries in the world, and you'd think that the U.S. has the longest lifespan. They don't. We're like number 38. Uh, North America, if you look at North America, it evens out. The life expectancy is 81 years for women, 77 years for men. But there's a lot of countries that have a lot longer lifespans than the U.S., and there's quite a few that have less, and a lot of that has to do with diseases in those countries and wars and things like that. But who do you think was number one?
I don't know.
The Japanese.
Right.
Why do you think they're number one? I mean, you were there.
Their diet
Yeah.
and their disciplines about how they manage their energy.
Yeah. Yeah, they live, women live almost 87 average years, and men 80 and a half. And
But
I do believe it's from their diet.
yeah, but that's just being here. That has nothing to do with getting it done. What did you come here to get done?
Right.
From the beginning of my life, that's what's unique about Guided. My guide showed me what I came here to get done. And I couldn't escape it, you guys. There was nothing. I have to tell you that gratitude is a huge part of this. And when you have gratitude, you let me see what I wrote down here, because this is really important. When you have gratitude, you have no control over not doing what your heart calls you to do. You have no control over not doing what you love. It doesn't matter what it looks like to the outer world. It doesn't matter if it makes a lot of money or if it doesn't. It's your calling. Your calling, when you follow your calling, time eludes you. Time is irrelevant. You lose track of time. It's 4 hours later and it feels like you just sat down and started working. That's when you know you're spending your time right. Okay? It's got you. It's why you're here. It There's no resistance to doing what you're doing, because you're following your bliss. You're following your path. You're doing what you came here to do. As you move through it like on your yellow brick road and find your way through this life, at some point it comes to a crescendo, and there you are. You're completely prepared. Now, while you were in it and moving through it, and it may have been years and years and years and years and years, that's what this has been. This project has been my whole life. While I was living it, it was always there. It was those dreams. It was writing in my journal. It was recognizing, being observant, and seeing what was going on, what was really going on in the outer world, what was really going on in the inner world. That's when you spend your time right. Let me read this one part. This is so good. Now, mankind is entering a new level of consciousness when they will look at time not as restrictive, but empowering. That's what I'm talking about. You will find yourself saying, "You mean I have all this time now to do what I really love?" There it is. Or, time no longer scares me because I'm no longer ruled by lack. Instead, I have more present moments, so I can evolve in this life while making a difference. There it is. If that's what you're doing, you're not worried about time. You're going to have all the time you need. You're using your time right. Okay? And here's another part. This is the how it works part where I write the end. Thinking you don't have enough time is what it feels like when you are burning through your present moments. A consequence of not being conscious. Think about this. Contemplate this. You can't game time like some kind of commodity, hoping to win back what you lost. You know, if I was to line that up with any one thing, I'd say the stock market is the perfect example of that. If you guys have ever invested in the stock market or gambled, it's the same thing.
It is the same thing.
You're trying to get something back. You're trying to game it, or you're trying to get there faster. You're chasing something. All right. Time is the only asset you have that you cannot hoard or use all at once. Like money, food, or physical possessions, time is dealt out in the same exact portions to everyone. It's really a level playing field, you guys. Time cannot be bought or sold. Don't you love it? Your time can only be used by you. If you agree to exchange it for getting paid, then that's called a job. Keep this in perspective. Reclaim your gift of time, or the time you have left after exchanging some of it for payment. Think about that one. Use the rest of your time to do what you love, and the world will love you in return for doing it. That is when time is on your side.
Yeah, if you didn't have a job that you went to where you had to do that job to pay your bills because you bought all these things,
Right, right.
it, you'd have all the time. I'll have all your time back.
Okay, so what is slavery?
Well, I think I just described it.
You sure did.
Debt slavery.
Yes, he did. He nailed it. So anytime you go out and get yourself, buy that car, it's only $400 a month. Well, how about the insurance and the gas and the maintenance and the licensing and everything? Okay. And what if you hit somebody? Oh my God, there's a whole other host of problems right there. All right. So this thing about turning yourself into a slave where you overextend yourself, uh, sacrificing your precious time. That's the only way you're ever going to feel like you missed something. Because after a while, you buy that car, a couple months later, it's like, oh my God, now it's a burden. Now it feels awful. Or I bought that house, and you justify it. Well, interest rates were low. I could afford it at the time. All of a sudden, your whole life flips over and things change and the market changes. You can't even get out of it. Okay. If you cannot, here's how to think about debt. Anything that you buy, that you go into debt for, first of all, write down in your journal why you're doing this, what you're going to buy, and what you anticipate receiving from buying that. Okay, you really have to examine how much you put yourself out there, how much time you're willing to give it and take away from yourself. Take it away, give it. That's a sacrifice that you're making. Is it really worth it? What is it you used to do? You'd sit up and buy stuff on eBay, and what was the discipline you learned? Make it short. Say it quick. I can say it for him.
It got to the point.
He got a calendar.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Got to the point where I would buy just because I wanted it. But
Impulse
buying, there you go. But I started writing down the day I wanted something. I wrote it down, what it is I wanted, and I'd go back and look at it a month later. See if I still wanted it.
That's called discipline. Okay, did you hear him say he wrote it down? He wrote it down. This is how you're going to stop doing this to yourself. And you're going to get your time back. You're going to get your life back. Now, how do you get out of the debt you're in now where you didn't know all this? You didn't really think it through. You sell it.
Sell your stuff.
Sell your stuff. And if you can't sell your stuff because there's no value in it now, but you really can't afford it, then just let it go back to, I don't know, the credit card or whatever, the bank, whatever. Okay. Get the rock off your back. But don't just do that to go out and rinse and repeat. Do it again.
The funny thing is about people who go bankrupt, you never used to be able to do much after, decades ago. It never used to be able to do anything after a bankruptcy for like 7 years. But now people do a bankruptcy, and in 2 weeks later, they're getting credit cards in the
That's
mail.
suicide, you guys. That they're counting on the fact that you're
A
not
week.
that now you're not only desperate, but you're willing to go back into debt again. You're worried about what somebody's going to think if you don't drive that nice car. You're okay. There's all this pressure, this social pressure, this outer world pressure. You guys have to give it up. All right. Okay. I can tell you throughout my life, Guided. If you haven't read Guided, I talk about all the times I was ostracized. I was um, I was abused. And I had nobody to talk to. No one was on my side in this world. But you guys, I had a secret weapon. I had my guides by my side all the time. And I wrote in my journal, and they were always speaking through me, always speaking to me, always showing me the way. And you know how I caught that? You know how I was able to capture that and harness that? I had quiet time. I didn't have any friends. Everyone worked against me. That was a blessing. I took the very thing that looked horrible and I turned it into something that paid off in spades. By the time I got out of that abusive family home and I went out on my own, my life took off. I had all the disciplines. I knew how to write things down and figure them out. I understood the language of the guides because of that alone time. Alone time is critical, you guys. Start using your time instead of time using you. Turn it around. I learned to do this as a little kid just to survive it. Okay. So I'm telling you that this turned out to be, people look at me and they go, "Oh my God, Linda, your life was so horrible in childhood. I want to cry for you." You know, without that opportunity, see what I mean? I wasn't a victim. It was an opportunity for me to dig deeper and see what was really going on. But you know what I did? I kept that to myself. I didn't trust anyone in the outer world, obviously. There was no reason to trust them. So I kept it to myself. And as I kept it to myself, I could write when I wrote in my journal about what was going on, trying to figure things out. I was so honest with myself. Nobody ever would have been that honest with me, nor could I have ever been that honest with the outer world without being ostracized, humiliated, uh, I don't know, everything. Okay, you know, destroyed by the outer world. I didn't trust the outer world to give me to make sense to me because they didn't make sense to me already. So you guys, the outer world is majorly confused right now. It is, it, and it's going to get more and more radical. Use your time better. Okay, start writing in your journal. Ray was doing that to keep himself in getting himself in more debt. Stop yourself. Write in your journal. Close it and don't jump on that buying that car, that house, that this, that, you know, and sacrificing your time, making yourself a slave where you have to go out and prostitute yourself for more money.
To make a car payment.
I mean, come on.
I remember the day. I mean, I was really reckless with my money when I was younger. I mean, I made a lot of money, but I spent, no matter how much money you make, you always spend about 40 to 50% more than you make. And that's just what the average American does. I had like 16 credit cards. And I remember the day
Oh, God.
that I was so far in debt. I mean, I don't know, $30,000, $40,000 in debt on the credit cards. And I remember the day I sat in my office and pulled out the wastebasket from underneath and I started cutting them up. I cut every one of them up.
Okay, who told you to do that?
I read it in a book.
Okay. So you took some time, let me say. Ray took out some time out instead of spending more money on those credit cards because it was so much fun to buy all that stuff.
Yeah.
All right. In the moment. In the moment. Okay. And he had the discipline to take the time. See, you have to realize how you're using your time. He stopped that uh, obsession
Addiction.
by reading a book about getting control over himself. Okay? So read a book about what's going on. Read this book. This will change your life.
I remember I got down to that last credit card.
Oh,
And my hands were shaking,
really?
and I couldn't cut it off. I said, "Well, what if there's a medical emergency, or what if what if
What
that?"
if? See that?
Yeah. So
The doubt?
the doubt is what makes you fears you into making decisions you wouldn't have. But and then I looked at all the bills, and I lined them up. I said, "Here's the most expensive one. I owe the most on this one, and I owe the least on this one down here." So I started paying off the lower amount ones first. I'd pay off as much as I could until the bottom one was gone, then the next one was gone, and the next one was gone, up the ladder until I got to the big one, at the top. And then I chewed away at that. It took me 8 or 9 months of not spending to pay them off.
Right. He went on a serious financial diet.
Right.
Okay. And how did you feel at the end of that, Ray, when you achieved that?
I felt good,
What did you do? Did you go out and get more credit cards and spend more money?
No, but I had, from that time on, I had one credit card for my business and one credit card for personal things, groceries and whatever.
So did your credit card situation ever get out of
No,
control?
not ever again.
Okay.
In fact, I like at the end of the month not having to owe people money. No car payments, no mortgages, no anything
Right.
like that.
Right. Because it stole his time.
All your
It
time.
stole his life.
Right.
Okay. It stole his freedom.
Right.
Okay, you guys, you are all free, by the way. Nobody in the outer world, the government doesn't tell you how free you are. Your actions determine how free you are. Think about this stuff. You guys, you don't need to be in debt. You don't need to be a slave. You don't need, nobody controls you. You control yourself. All right.
Yeah, and then people also make the mistake of stop spending money on themselves and start spending it on other people, like their kids. Oh well, my kid has to have this. My kid has to have that.
Hold on.
Needs a new iPhone.
Teaching them all the wrong things.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's all you're doing when you do that. You're teaching them how to be a consumer.
Right.
And how to be a slave and lose track of their life and their time. Okay, no value in their life. So, they're write in your journal. Read this book first, guided, and then get this book and start writing in there every day for 15 minutes. Every time you have that urge to spend that money and sacrifice more of your time, time in the future to pay off that debt. Really, like 30 days, give yourself some time to think about that, because some people really can't afford a car or a house, and some people are pushing the limit, and usually the ones that can't afford it want it the most. Why is that?
You always want something you can't.
Why
have.
is that? It's one word, Ray. What is the word?
Gratitude.
Lack.
Yeah.
They lack gratitude.
They look at their life as a life of lack rather than be thankful for the things that they have.
Right. And the bigger question would be, the work that you do or the job that you have, do you love it? Is it helping you learn about yourself and take you on a journey that's bigger than you could have ever imagined? Is that what you're doing for yourself? Stay focused on that. This other stuff, it all passes. The wardrobe, the clothes, the car, everything will get old. Everything will start to break, and you got to fix it, and you don't even like it anymore. And I don't know. Just stay focused on you. Okay. And how do you do that? Write in your journal every day, 15 minutes a day. And the journal explains, it's self-explanatory. All right. These books are critical. This is the journal, the guided journal writing system right here. These 3 books. On March 6th, I'm going to be doing training on how to use these journals. But it's important that you read or listen to guided while we're doing this work. I do a single theme for the entire month, for March, and then for April, and then for May, and on and on. And I do 3 weeks, half hour on Saturdays. I'll be announcing it, where I teach you how to move into this journal writing. Don't miss it. I will announce it. All right. Okay, now, what we're going to do. I love this session, Ray. I love all our sessions. These guides are amazing. Guides are amazing. All right.
You even went overtime.
But you know, there's no such thing, right?
There's no such thing as time.
Yeah. Okay, so before we close with the guides tonight about is time on my side, I'm going to make a few announcements. Join us next Tuesday, March 2nd, for episode number 272 of Linda's Weekly Guided Insights with me, Ray, and my spirit guides at 6 p.m. Pacific time on my Facebook page, Facebook timeline, and YouTube channel. Use the search term Linda Deer. In Linda's Weekly Guided Insights, my spirit guides will be talking about, and you're going to love this one, karmic madness. The takeaway from this week's episode is you came here to correct the karma from other lifetimes, not create more. Karmic madness occurs between your arrival into this life and departure out of it. Everything in between is considered karmic madness. It's unfinished business from previous lifetimes. Karmic madness is driven by your ego. It's these ego-driven desires that keep you chasing things your entire life. Kind of ties into what we just talked about today. Karma is a process of cause and effect. What comes around goes around. A cycle that keeps you stuck in karmic madness. You don't want to miss this one. And this coming Saturday, February 27th, at 1 p.m. Pacific time, I will read to you from the 137 tips, learnings, lessons, and awarenesses sprinkled throughout Guided. On my Facebook page, Facebook timeline, and YouTube channel, you again use the search term Linda Deer. And this reading will awaken you to the guidance that's always available. Do you hear me whisper? Guidance never shouts at you. You have to be listening, okay? So if my work helps you in any way, tell your like-minded friends about what I do, about my books, my website, Tuesdays right here with us live, all the things that we do, Saturday, so many things. Go to the website. Just tell them to go to lindadeer.com and they'll see everything that this project is about. Okay. All right. So the guides are going to close the session with their closing message on is time on my side. Let me have that right. Okay. All right.
For those of you who think you don't have enough time to get everything done, try this experiment.
I love this.
Each night, before you go to bed, look around and find something you can do, something you've been putting off that you can do in 15 minutes or less. Clean out a drawer. Put away some things that have been lying around. Doesn't matter what you do, just something that won't take more than 15 minutes. As soon as you get it done, go to bed. Write down each night what you did.
Yes.
After 1 year, go back and look at the 365 things you got done that you didn't think you had time to do?
You know, you guys, it's that simple. 15 minutes a day invested in yourself. Use your journal, write in your journal, write in your journal about this is in part 3. Actually, this whole book, this journal right here is all just journal writing. Okay. This part right here, my journal writing or my guided journey, is once you write in your journal writing, and you do that, a month, a couple months, yeah, I don't know, half a year, a whole year, whatever it takes. Go back through what you wrote, review what you wrote, review what you wrote, peruse through what you wrote. And I'm going to show you how this works starting March 6th. You don't want to miss it. Saturdays at 1 p.m. Pacific time on my Facebook page, timeline, and YouTube channel. I'm going to show you how to do this so you guys really get your head around this, all right? And you write it down and then you review. It's all in the review that you're going to see it. You can't see it when you're in it, but your guides can, and I can. And you look back at what you did and you go, oh my God, I see a pattern here. Why do I keep doing this? What's going on here? Don't say what's wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with you. You just got caught up in a loop, okay, a pattern and a habit. And you look back and you go, see it now. Then you go to part 2 and you go, okay, which one is it? Is it crossroads? Is it compromise? Is it when I became overly cautious? Is it when I didn't ask for help, when I had help? You have help, you guys. That's another thing you do. When you ask your guides for help, go to part 3, write down what you're asking for. Because when the help comes through and you forgot what it was that you asked for, you won't marry up the answer with your question unless you can go back and say, oh, there is the question. I did it on this date. I asked this question, and my gosh, it came through my dream. It came through when I was driving to work, just mindless. You know how it comes through, it kind of slips through when you're doing something like that. And I got this insight, and I just knew what to do. No, you didn't. You got guidance. You got guidance hand delivered to you, and you caught it this time. And you could then tie it to the question you have. You've got the whole formula now. Now you're empowered. Now you can take action that you never could have taken before. Okay? And no fear in it. You do not ever doubt yourself when you do the discipline like Ray was talking about, when he got the calendar out and he, instead of impulse buying, he could even afford it, you guys, at the time he was doing that. He wrote it on the calendar. If I still feel like I want that in a month from now, it wasn't like writing in here. This is way better. But Ray, he didn't know about me, and he didn't know about journaling and all that. But you know what? He beat, how many times did you actually purchase what you gave yourself a chance to decompress from?
Once in a while. Yeah.
Once in a while.
Yeah.
See that? And he could even afford it. And it was still just once in a while. You know, okay, you guys, you're going to find out that there's a lot of stuff that you don't need. You already have it. You don't lack anything. Okay? You're going to find your freedom, and you're going to take your life back. Okay.
Yeah, you find out the things that you'd like to have versus the things you need to have.
We're going to close, and I want you guys to know that you are never alone and always being guided.